Hey Jeff, I want to give you the first screencast on the homepage of the website, and we'll go through the page itself and then jump into MODx so you can see how to control the content. I've got the URL pulled up in Chrome. You can use any web browser. The desktop environment is the best. You don't want to do this on an iPad or your phone. I've got fairview-condo.com/obxstorm as the URL. This will change and be obxstorm.net once we point the domain to the site tomorrow. So without much more, let's just go over quickly the main sections. We've got this top hero banner area where there's large slides that are linking to news articles, and you can include up to 5 slides here. You've got the ability to change the text and make it a little more bold if you want. The tournament section here corresponds to games that you'll create in MODx and put those under a tournament container. The news section is automatically dropped in here, so you don't have to worry about modifying that in the homepage itself. This sponsorship area will go over how to change that when you edit the homepage. Player spotlight, that gets set when you're building out your pages for your teams. These are all automatically embedded. These are your social, your Facebook homepage feed, and then your Twitter homepage feed. The latest rankings also get set with the player spotlights on the team pages themselves. The players, there'll be individual players within the teams, and then the teams will have their rankings. If you want to show them, you can turn them off if you don't. We'll go over how to add sponsors and logos, and then finally the footer text as well as your social media links down here. It's a lot of information. The final bit here are your what is I guess a repeating of some of the navigation at the top, but also just highlighting enrollment, which I think is important and maybe the key thing for most users of the site. Okay, so that's the home page. Let's jump into MODx. I pulled up the URL, which will be obxstorm.net/manager. You've got your own account, Jeff, and your own password in an email. Throw that in there, and this is the back end of MODx. You'll notice on the left side here, this column has a home. It's got about. All of these are resources here, and they have a resource ID that's in parentheses beside them. So they correspond to pages on the website. For each one of those, you'll notice the ones with pluses have children pages under them, or children resources, I should say. You can see how these can go several levels deep. And another thing to notice, if you ever wanted to unpublish a page, you could right-click on it and select Unpublish. And we do want to proceed with that. And now you'll notice that becomes italicized and is in red. And if we wanted to refresh up here, we would see that that's removed here from the top navigation. There's no longer a contact link there. And then if we wanted to republish, we can right-click and publish resource. So that's just a brief overview of what the styling of the text here in this left column is for. So let's jump into editing the home page. You can right-click on that and edit resource. You could also left-click on that little home icon, and then you'd see an edit button up here. We'll jump into the top fields here. The title is pretty apparent. That's going to be shown for most pages in a prominent manner. The long title gets set in the meta tags as well as as some of the subheadings. So you want it to be a little more descriptive than the title. The description can be several sentences or at least one sentence, and that should correspond to what's going on in the page itself. Your URL alias is the URL for each page. So for home, it's special. It won't display home.html unless we type it. But for example, if we went to about, you'd see that the URL alias there is about. And all these are SEO friendly URLs, which is good. You'll want to make these URL aliases relevant to the content in the page. Link attributes won't display for you. Your summary is what will be set at the footer of every page. So I've configured your footers for the majority of all the pages to pull straight from that field, and you can modify that as you see fit. Don't worry too much about changing templates. There's quite a few that I've created, but they've been pre-configured for each parent container. Your menu title is what gets displayed up here in the top menu. So home is not displayed, and the reason for that is I've unchecked the show in menu here. Menu index is important in that it just controls the display of the resources in the MODx manager view, and you can see that home has a value of 0 in menu index. If we went to tournaments, we would see that that menu index value is 7. So this is sorted by ascending order, 0 being the first, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so forth. Your resource content field, this is a WYSIWYG editor that allows you to drop styling in here. If you wanted to make this a title, you can do that. If we look at the HTML code, you can see here this is an H2, a heading 2 tag, and that's around the title. Span is another tag that's in here, and it's making that sponsorship opportunities a little bit more bold and larger. So you can remember that and change it as you see fit, and then everything else is put in a paragraph tag. So that's good to keep that format. I wouldn't change the style too much by trying to change the fonts. It kind of degrades the overall look and feel of the site. Okay, so the next section is called template variables, and these are custom for each template. They're going to be different for your about and than they are for your home. The learn more PDF template variable here is corresponding to this this button right here, and by default it looks to see if there's a value in this field, and you can change this. It's a PDF. If I click insert, I will see the KSC Finder is going to look on the web server itself. There's a bunch of PDFs I've already uploaded. I even created a subfolder called newsletters for your newsletters to go in. You can right click on this and create new subfolders if you want. I would just encourage you to not have white spaces between your titles. Make sure that they have a hyphen or no space between any of the words. If we wanted to just upload, I'll do that real quick. I just click the upload button. I'm going to grab a random PDF off my computer, and you can see that it will go up to the server. It was invoice-1231, and I can double click on that if I wanted to replace what's in the sponsorship opportunities, but I don't. So I'm just going to right click, and then I'm going to delete it and click yes here. So that is so your instructions here to tell you that if you have a value here, you're not going to be linking to a page. If you wanted to link to a page, you could do that. You could choose any of the pages or resources that are in the site and link to it, and then clear out your Learn More PDF field. Okay, the resource ID of the tournament to highlight on the home page. This is a little tricky, but each tournament is going to have its own resource ID. We can see if I click on that tournaments plus there, I've got 2. I've got a resource ID of 11 that corresponds to 2014 Atlantic Cup, and I've got one that's 13, which is the Spring Classic. So right now it's looking at the Atlantic Cup, and you can see there's only one game that I've entered for that. If I change that to 13 and save, I'm just going to continue editing so it keeps the resource open. That should now, if we go back and refresh the page, flip this over to the Spring Classic. So there's your timer on how far away it is and all the information related to the games. There's some links in here to directions, tournament schedules, scores if you wanted to put them there. We'll dig into the tournaments and how you create those and the games in another screencast. But for now, you know that you can control which one is highlighted on the home page in this field here. Your sliders at the top, they have a title, which you can put in span tags if you want to give them a little extra boldness. And this BR tag will put it down on the next line. So for example, this U13 girls is here, and there's a BR as a break, so it goes down to the next line. So you can play with that. You'll want to make sure you upload your images at 1920 by 592 pixels, and that is going to be done in some editor that you choose, whether you use Microsoft Paint or Photoshop, whatever. Just ensure that you do get these cropped at 1920 by 592. The first slide hyperlink, this is going to be, again, a look at all the pages that you could link to. And typically, I would think you'd link to a news page or a news article. As I said before, you've got 5 major slides that you can populate on the home page. I've only done 2 so far. So you'll have room to add more if you'd like. The Facebook URL is pretty self-explanatory. This is just going to point to your Facebook page for the club. If that ever changes, you'd modify the value there. Your Twitter handle, both of these are driving the social media links here and these icons here. So Twitter is OBX Storm, and you can change that there if for whatever reason that account gets changed. The final 3 are related to your sitemap. The SEO change frequency and Google sitemap priority, and these keywords. Let's look at a sitemap first here, just to give you an example. You can see that each, it's a lot of code that Google looks through and wants to know when the page changed. That's your date. The priority, in our site, we want the most important pages to be 1. So for the home page, it's set at 1, and then on down, 0.9, 0.8 are going to be less important. Your keywords are going to be related to the content of the page, and you want to be aware that you include those that are relevant, and yeah, that should help our overall Google page rank. So I hope that's been helpful. I know that's a lot. That's the first screencast. We'll hopefully go over it. And if you have questions, let me know. Thanks.